We were looking at this woman in the 5th chapter of Mark's Gospel, the woman with the issue of blood who touched Jesus' clothes and was healed. And we know this, that Matthew and Luke also record this same incident, but Mark goes into more detail about it. And it's very interesting to see what she said, that her words had something to do with her healing. We said that men are saved by hearing and speaking words, and by the same token, men are people, men and women, you see. When we say men, we mean mankind, are healed by hearing and speaking words. Now let's see if that can be proven by the Scriptures. See, we're not interested in just making statements. Well, here in Mark 5, 5th chapter, 25th verse, the 25th verse tells us about the woman with the issue of blood, who had suffered many things of many physicians, who had this condition for 12 years, who had spent all of her living, who was nothing bettered, but rather grew worse. That's the 25th and 26th verses. Now the 27th verse, when she had heard of Jesus. Now our thought was that men or women, people, are healed by hearing and speaking words. When she had heard of Jesus, that's words, isn't it? Words were spoken to her, weren't they? 27th verse, when she had heard of Jesus, she came in the press behind and touched his garment. Now notice verse 28, Mark 5. For she said, if I may but touch his clothes, I shall be whole. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. Now, skip down to the 34th verse. And Jesus said unto her, Daughter, thy faith has made thee whole. Go in peace, and be whole of thy plague. Now, as I said yesterday, you can see faith in action, and yet faith is not mentioned by name or word until you get to that 34th verse. First time you find the word faith in this account. 34th verse. Read the whole thing. Start with the 25th verse. There's a certain woman with the issue of blood, 12 years, who had suffered many things of many physicians, who had spent all of her living, who was nothing bettered but rather grew worse. When she heard of Jesus, came in the press behind and touched his garment. For she said, if I may but touch his clothes, I shall be whole. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that virtue or power had gone out of him, turned him about in the press and said, Who touched my clothes? And his disciple saith unto him, Master, behold, the multitude throngeth thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me? And he looked around about to see her who had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, came and fell down before him and told him all the truth. Now see, that's verse 25 through 33. The word faith has not been mentioned yet, has it? By name or by word. Now, 34th verse. And he, Jesus, said unto her, Daughter, thy faith. Now, he mentions it, your faith. You see, faith is revealed in action and in word. Now back to the thought that we were on. I said then that men or people are healed by hearing and speaking words. When she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind and touched his garment. For she said, you see, she heard words first. And then she spoke words. Verse 34, and he, Jesus, said, Daughter, thy faith has made thee whole.